So I'm currently in the north of Crete, and I'm going to be following a route taken by Paddy Leigh Fermor and the Andartes during the Second World War. They kidnapped a famous general called General Kreipe. So I'm going to follow that route. They kidnapped him near Heraklion, near Knossos, where I was yesterday. They drove him up to Peristeres, where I am now at this gorgeous bay. And then they hiked him through the mountains. They went round Mount Ida, kind of started going back northwest, and then they eventually came out down on the south coast, where I intend to finish dipping my feet in the Libyan Sea. Today it's 11 o'clock. And I've got about 20 kilometers to make to Anogia down here to hopefully get into a taverna or like a hotel for tonight. Otherwise I'm going to be camping en route. So here we go. Quite a slow pace so far. Come from down in the bottom there and up this valley, up this steep bank here, having not seen this track that conveniently winds its way up. I'm going to be dropping down into the monastery. Just arriving at the monastery. And that's where I'm going, further south. So I've rather antisocially turned up at this monastery during the siesta hours, but luckily some guy woke up. I don't think he's a monk or anything, but he let me in to this incredible monastery that's right off the tourist trail, I guess, and he's given me some fruit and allowed me to fill up my water bottle. Let's have a bit of an explore. So I've nearly finished my day now. The local says it should take about an hour to the end, so that's basically where I've come from there today. And then what's in store is circling round Ida, and then I think I'm going to take I plan on taking a break and actually summiting Ida, because they actually went around it, but I think I'll summit it whilst I'm here. So that'll be kind of my rest day, where I won't be carrying all the weight. Okay. Morning, day 2. Didn't make it to Anogia last night. I'm on the way there. It shouldn't be too far. So I ended up actually staying in the same gorge or valley as the actual party did on their first, where they had their first rest during the day in caves. That's the wind turbines where I came from, down below there. And this is the way I'm heading. It's 7:30. It's over 20 degrees, so it's going to be a tough one. So I've just had breakfast in Anogia, which is a town that the party went through on their way down to the south coast, and because of their involvement in housing and feeding the party on their. So because of this involvement, a couple of months later in August, so we're coming up to the anniversary, all the males were rounded up and shot, and the whole town pretty much was razed to the ground by the Germans. And all the names on this wall here are those that were rounded up or shot, and also all of those who died during the resistance to the German occupation. And then the main statue is of a typical rebel during the time, with those huge moustaches. Just come to another monastery here where I'm going to have my lunch today. It's not a bad spot. So a bit of an update. This is what I've been climbing up for the last 10 or 15 minutes from the bottom where that well was. And that's a bit of the view. It's a nice breeze now, so it's a little bit cooler and makes it going far easier. So I managed to make up the lost time and I'm back on schedule now at the end of day 2. Place I'm going to stay. And there I am now going into the shade of Ida. So tomorrow is going to be like a rest. So it turns out they're renovating the place and it's closed, which obviously I didn't know about. So that is not good for my morale. But I just So the Hotel Taverna was closed, but I found a spring where I had a really nice cold and refreshing shower, and then I came across this beauty, which fortunately for me was open. There's another lovely little chapel, really nice and warm now thanks to the candles and the heat of the day. It will be cold tonight in the shadows of Mount Ida. So, okay, so day 3, I had quite a nice sleep down in the chapel, some good food last night and this morning. I can't make it to the Idaean cave where Zeus was born, or I can't summit Mount Ida. So because that hotel was closed, I won't be able to summit Ida, which is up that way, and then come back down to the chapel. I haven't got enough food with me for that, so I'm just going to have to carry on following a mountain pass that goes around the side. So an hour and a half in, highest point I will be on this journey at just under 2,000 meters. There's the valley I've come up, and pan around. Mount Ida's up there in the distance, and I'll be heading down this valley south, and it won't be long before I can see the Libyan Sea. It's worth mentioning that they did this in April, so they had some horrible weather to be dealing with and very steep snowdrifts to be driving through, along with obviously an old general. So I've come out with Ida behind me, and there is the Libyan Sea, but I still have a wee way to go yet as we now start heading west. So I'm not far from where I'm going to stay tonight, but I've spent the last probably about an hour and a half trying to find a cave that they stayed in for a day to dry out their clothes and things, and I've finally found it. So you probably won't be able to see the magnitude of this cave, but it does go off into lots of little caverns. But the main one here, which I guess is where they dried off all their clothes and where they stayed for the day, is now just a bit of a goat graveyard, really. Okay, day 4, I managed to stay just outside near Davros, which is a village at the foot of Mount Ida on the kind of the southern side. That's Mount Kedros in front of me, and the party, they had to keep on trying to avoid German cordons at this time, so they were doing quite short journeys and staying in caves and valleys. Another one of which I will be approaching shortly in this gorge, which hopefully has water in it so I can have a swim, which will be very refreshing. At this point as well, Paddy Leigh Fermor and one of the Cretans, I won't try and pronounce his name, they actually left the main group and went to Forforos, where I actually stayed last night, and 2 other villages to use their wireless to get communications to our headquarters, which were at Cairo, to arrange a pickup on the south coast. I'm down in the gorge, and unsurprisingly there's no water. There are a couple of little pools like this. However, unless I find a much bigger one, I think I'm out of luck with a swim. So Mount Ida, that's where I've come from, down at the bottom in that valley below those roads. It's a bridge, and I've come up through the brush here. That's absolutely horrible. Just millions and millions of thorns and sharp heather, and they're cutting me to death. It's really hot. My water's really warm, but I don't have much further before the next village where I'll be able to get some nice cold water. I'm at another memorial here. This one's on the edge of Anogia, and it shows a lady actually engraving the names of all of the men that were killed in the reprisal attacks following the kidnapping of General Kreipe, and also before the Germans actually left Crete. Just like the last couple of villages I've been to, there's been these same type of memorials the whole way down the valley, where the Germans came through on the same day for this part of the valley on the 22nd of August, and again just killed all of the men, blowing up and burning all the villages and houses as they went. This village is pretty lovely. It's famous for its springs and cherries. Up there is Mount Kedros, and then in the distance is Ida and the pass that I came over. So I stayed last night down in Gerikari, looking over the Iamari Valley and Mount Ida, and there's Mount Kedros above, and I've come up the mountain, leaving my Bergen lower down on the road to come and visit another cave they stayed in for a few nights. It's been pretty boring for the last couple of hours. Just long old road shifts in less kind of impressive countryside. So that's over 30 kilometers I've traveled today. I come from Mount Kedros, and I will be staying in this village here, and there is the Sea of Crete. So seeing the Sea of Crete, which is obviously on the northern coast, when I need to be finishing on the south coast of the Libyan Sea, is a little bit depressing. I'm hoping to finish it tomorrow, but we'll see. Good morning. So I've got an early start for hopefully what's my final day. About to run a gauntlet past this guy and then head on up this valley. So a little bit frustrated because I failed to find 3 caves that they stayed in for 3 consecutive nights whilst waiting for the submarine to arrive over the mountain down on Peristeres Bay. The first 2 were in that sketchy valley that I was in earlier, and the other one is above me somewhere, but I need to get over this mountain today in daylight, so I'm going to leave climbing around trying to find it. This is where I really need to be able to speak Greek and also have help from So I'm up and nearly finished now. There to the north is the Sea of Crete, and then my finish line is the Libyan Sea down in the bottom there. So from their final night in the last cave I just failed to find, they finally got communications that there'd be a submarine coming the following evening. So the party split up. Billy Moss and the main group of Andartes came up the route I've just taken, whilst Paddy, one of the Andartes called Manoli, and the general took a westerly and southwesterly route around the back of the mountain, and then both parties met up above Rotherkino, which I'll be coming to soon, before going down to Peristeres beach. So I've made it. That's where I came from up there today. Done about another 30 kilometers, and finally at Peristeres beach on the south coast, and that's the Libyan Seas. So out in the Libyan Sea there was a submarine, and a commando unit came to the shore and picked up Billy Moss, General Kreipe and Paddy Leigh Fermor, who left their boots on the beach here, and they went out to the submarine and were taken to Cairo. So obviously I've been wanting to do this for days now, after 6 days of trekking over 160 kilometers over the mountains.